Hello and welcome to Focus on Liberia.
Okay, good morning, everyone. Welcome to Focus on Liberia, a new day conversation. My name is Priscilla Mah-Belloh. I'm your host. Welcome to a new day conversation where we shine a light on leadership, accountability, and the choices shaping our future. Today, we're tackling an issue that may seem simple on the surface: trash, waste, and sanitation. But in truth, it sits at the heart of Liberia's future. Waste management isn't just about clean streets, it's about jobs, it's about governance, it's about dignity and accountability. Right now, Liberia is facing a 210 million waste management contract that has sparked fierce debate. The short list mainly excludes Liberian owned companies and places a controversial foreign firm, Zone Lion, at the center, despite past allegations of corruptions. Critics and advocates and activists like Fanta, Kamara, we're going to hear from her later, one, that this deal could cost Liberians not only hundreds of thousands of jobs, but also control over their own development. Now, supporters, on the other hand, those who think foreign companies are the best, companies like Zone Lion, argue that it's about capacity and efficiency. So the questions before us are urgent. Who should control this vital sector? Foreign firms or local companies? What does Liberia lose when Liberians are left out? And how can cities like Monrovia and Paynesville lead by example in making waste management a source of opportunity, not exploration or exploitation? Joining us today are two voices deeply connected to this issue. Mayor Robert S. Bestman II, the mayor of Paynesville City, is on the front lines of urban management and community engagement. And Ms. Fanta Kamara, a Liberian American who once left behind a thriving career in the US to invest in Liberia's waste management sector, only to find herself face to face with corruption at the highest levels. Together, we will explore what really at stake: jobs, integrity, and the future of our cities. So, my people, this is not just about waste, this is about power. Let's get into the conversation. Before we do, let me just properly introduce our guest. So, Mayor Robert S. Bestman II was born in Bon Mines, Bon County. He brings both vision and experience to his role. He's a proud son of Liberia and a devoted father of two daughters. He leads with faith, integrity, and service at the heart of his mission. He holds advanced degrees in education and administration from Cottington University and in urban planning from the Galilee Institute in Israel, training that grounds his commitment to sustainable development and city management. Before becoming mayor, he served in key national leadership roles, from the Forestry Development Authority to the National Legislature to the Ministry of Posts and Telecommunications, building a strong record in governance and public service. Today, as mayor, Robert S. Bestman is guiding Paynesville toward cleaner streets, stronger infrastructure, and inclusive growth with an eye on community accountability and opportunity for the next generation. Welcome to a new day, Mayor Robert. Thank you for joining us today.
Thank you, Priscilla. Thank you so much.
Okay. And I mentioned Fanta earlier. So, as I mentioned earlier, Miss Fanta Kamara is joining us today. Fanta is a disruptive global leader with nearly 2 decades of experience spanning technology operations, supply chain, business development, communications, and entrepreneurship. She most recently served as Senior Vice President at Bank of America's Global Information Security Organization, where she led large-scale cyber security defense, cloud transformation, and digital innovation programs. Her career also includes leading World Bank water and sanitation projects in sub-Saharan Africa and serving as global communications manager for Estee Lauder companies. I hope I said the name right. Fanta, you can correct me later. Armed with a Bachelor of Science in Computer Science, an MBA in International Business, and a Harvard Business School certificate in Sustainable Business Strategy, Fanta has also mentored the next generation of change makers through organizations like Girls Who Code, Rewriting the Code, and the Sherry Blair Foundation. Yeah, I'm saying these names right. She is the founder of G and Gen L, Generation Liberia, an initiative dedicated to redefining communities, equipping change makers, and empowering Liberians to reclaim agency over their futures. Born and raised in Monrovia's Daybreak Mount Open community and shaped by the resilience of our refugee journey, Fanta's vision is rooted in representation and inclusive models that enable underprivileged communities to become architects of their own solutions. Her mantra is clear: representation matters. You can't be what you can't see. Welcome to a new day today, Fanta. It's so good to have you.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Priscilla, for having me.
Okay. Yeah, so I we already chit chatted in the background a little. So let's go into waste management, which is not just about cleanliness. It's about jobs, it's about governance, it's about dignity, it's about accountability. I've been listening, or at least I listened to Fanta recently. So the question to the both of you: why does waste management, and we will come to the controversial company yet, but why does waste management matter so deeply for Liberia cities today?
Yeah, waste management, and most importantly, having an integrated waste management system. It's so critical to our infrastructure because while most people might look at waste, right, trash, refuse to be isolated from development, it's actually very centric to and should be very centric to our developmental policies and everything that we do around infrastructure building, because it touches every industry, right? It ties to every person, every citizen, inhabitant, what have you. When I say touches every industry, the lack of waste collection yields to a significant amount of health issues, right? Because if there are no adequate systems to collect waste, you find people, inhabitants, disposing waste in gutters, in waterways, which then becomes contaminated, right, causing massive, massive waterborne diseases, and thereby health issues such as malaria, fever, typhoid. The list goes on, and even beyond that, right? Diseases that we probably still don't understand, and we often just chalked to, oh, it's malaria, oh, it's typhoid, when it's really beyond that. So bottom line is that the lack of proper waste collection or lack of proper integrated waste management system could cause a slew of problems that are frankly detrimental to our very existence and our being, right? So for a government and administration not to prioritize um, waste management, right? Sanitation, not just limited to say the collection and disposal of it, but see the opportunities that are associated with establishing such an entity, I think is a failure and is really sad to even call yourself a government or any type of administrator of city or public affairs, because it is intertwined. It is tied to everything that is our existence, and the lack of that just speaks to the lack of, frankly, a direction, a lack of welfare or care for the people and their well-being. I mean, I could go on about this forever, and often, they will make the excuse of, we don't have the infrastructure, we don't have the funding. While we can be empathetic to say, look, the budget that is being allocated may fall short or might fall short of what you should actually be getting. But this is 2025. We're in the age of technology. We're in the age of digitization, where you can leverage other tactical and strategic solutions, right, to make up for the budgetary gaps. So, as I said, I could go on with this forever, but I'll stop here for now and see what my co-guest has to say about this. I'm intrigued.
Thank you, Fanta.
Yeah.
Thank you, Priscilla, and thank you, Fanta. Waste is a major problem of our society, and what has surprised me, continue to surprise me, not many people think that waste is a serious issue in our country. This country was built with all the thinking of waste infrastructure. Most time we try to push it to the citizen, but fortunately for some of us, we were born in community that was organized. I was born in bomb mines before the war, and when the German built bomb mines, the waste infrastructure was put in place, where you have the liquid waste. They use the sewage system, and the waste go where it's supposed to be taken care of, and the solid waste was taken care of properly, like garbage can given to houses and move on. And you see, as a child, every day the people move on and move the garbage, and you see you couldn't find any waste around. It is solid waste or liquid waste. You will not find any waste around in bomb mines. So fast forward to the world, we all went to school, we came into Morovia, and then you see a whole community. There's no waste infrastructure. And I know Fanta was here in recent time, and Salif regime, when time was put over there, a whole nation, that's the only infrastructure that have uplifted its usefulness for waste, a landfill in the day and age. And that's why you see a whole community. There's nowhere. Sometimes you ask the people to pay for their waste, but when the waste is paid for, where are they taking it to? It's a problem. So you are right. Solid waste integrated solid waste is a very serious problem in our country, and up to today we are still making the same mistakes. I was advising some people during the regime of President we had. They build a market. They say, "Oh, the market is beautiful, but where do the people put the waste? In the new market you are building, there's no waste infrastructure, and we'll continue to have the pattern of building public area markets and other things, and we don't plan for waste, but we want it to be a magic." I had the opportunity to serve as the secretary for the African team Habitat 3. That was 2016, and we were doing report on 20 years on Africa urban situation. And I had the opportunity to at least go to 45 African countries, look at their urban program. Not one, like Liberia, we know that most of them have the same waste problem, but they all are far from Liberia. So one thing that we have as a problem is our waste infrastructure. And everywhere in the world, it is the central government that have invested heavily in the waste infrastructure. In Ghana, most of the plants you see are not owned by Zoom Lion. It is built by the national government, and Zone Line is managing it. In most of the other countries, you see, it is the national government that build those waste infrastructure, and you can find a private company to manage them. That is what now happening in our country, and we are continuing to advise that we have to have waste infrastructure to be able to manage waste. We can talk all we talk. When you take the waste, you have to take it somewhere. Where are we taking it to? Forget
Okay.
about Morocco and Paynesville. That's the better part of our country. Think where people are putting waste in Buchanan. Think where they are putting it in Kakata. I was sent to Buchanan by Senator Nyambli Kanga, the pro-tem, just on our action mission. When I went, I was surprised to see the sewage truck owned by a lawmaker moving waste from Mentas East and dumping it right on the open field opposite the hospital. And no other county prepare for waste in our country. So it have to be taken as a very serious matter. We know we struggle right here in Monrovia for this little thing, but it is more serious than what we think. I have gone to office in county looking at our waste situation. The waste situation in our country, it will soon turn into a pandemic nationally if we don't look at it seriously. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you, Mayor Bestman. You already cover your next question. So I will ask Fanta, personal stake. Fanta, you sacrificed a thriving US career. I just read.
Yeah, Priscilla, could I just respond to what he just said because I think it's very important. Right?
Oh, as you respond to that, let me just add that I wanted to know what made you see this issue as a worth, as worth that risk for you to leave everything you had here. But go ahead and respond to the mayor because I really want us to get to the Zone Lion issue. That is my second or third question. But go ahead.
Yeah. Look, the mayor is right. The city, the government rarely plans for waste management. And, I really want to take it back to integrated waste management because it is quite comprehensive, right? We cannot look at the management of our waste, refuse, trash as a linear thing, right? It is quite dynamic. And therefore, the solutions that we derived have to also be dynamic. They have to be not just strategic, but they have to be tactical, and very practical. When you look at the budget today that is being allocated, I touched base on it a little bit earlier of a country whose budget is around $800+ million annual budget and growing. You allocate for Monrovia City Corporation 4+ million to the management of the city corporation, including waste management. And I would really like to understand what the breakdown of that is, how exactly that budget, when it's allocated to an MCC, gets disbursed, right? From my research, I see that only, I think, $250,000 gets allocated to waste management, which includes the collection and primarily disposal, right? Nothing else is being considered. And then a good number of the budget, right, goes primarily towards salaries. Now, maybe that 4.6 million is what's proposed, and then they settle around like 3 point something for the annual MCC budget, say for 2024 into 2025, give or take. When you come to Paynesville Corporation, I believe a budget of 1 point something million was requested for 2024, like 2025, and is settled around just about one or a little over 1 million. Once again, I'm very interested in the breakdown of that because from my research, I have seen that a good number of that, 80-70% upwards, right, goes towards salary. We have to look at this and ask ourselves, so if we're truly serious about solving the waste epidemic, as the mayor put it, waste management, and deriving sensible solutions, first we have to absolutely push the legislative to ensure that they allocate much bigger allocations to the management of integrated waste in the country, right? Secondly, we have to exercise, we have to put on our thinking caps as managers of city affairs to say, look, even though I'm being handed peanuts, right? What other methods, what are the alternatives that I can employ as a leader, right? To manage this situation more creatively. Because look, the city is going to, the government is going to do what the government is going to do. You as a manager, right? That's why you're a leader. That's why you're an administrator. You put on that leadership cap and identify other resources to fill in the gap, right? To fill in those resource gaps. Does it mean that you cut back on if much of your budget is going towards staff salaries? Does it mean that you cut back on administrative staff salaries and focus more on in the field staff salaries, right? That means waste collectors, waste disposers, salaries, perhaps, right? Because we know that administrative staff salaries are often higher than the folks who are in the field actually collecting waste. It gives you a better alternative, right? To stretch that dollar, right? To stretch that dollar beyond what you're currently leveraging it for or how you're currently allocating it. And then we also look at the communities in which we serve. Are the people, do they have an appetite, right? Do they have an appetite? Are they going to agree to pay for their waste collection, right? What do they say about that? From my research, for a city like Paynesville, which is now probably the largest city in Liberia in terms of population, right? When we, like, you can probably make the argument to say, oh, Monrovia is still large, but Greater Monrovia is really like around like 150,000-ish. When you look at, not including like across the bridge, Somalia Drive, when you look at Paynesville, it's 700,000 residents plus in Paynesville. So that makes it, in terms of population, in terms of demographic, much larger than Monrovia, much bigger than Monrovia. And there was a survey done not too long ago that indicated 70% of residents in Paynesville, or household in Paynesville, are willing to pay for waste collection. Now, it comes down to determining how much you charge them as the city administrator. Do you charge them $1 a month? Do you charge them $2 a month? Do you charge them $3 a month? We can have the conversation around affordability based on the incomes, right? And if you tell someone, look, we need you to spend 1%, 2% of your monthly income, well, maybe that average is around $100 a month, $150 a month. Some people make 200, like some people make 400, some people make 600, right? And upwards. If we say every Paynesville household, which that 700,000 really boils down to maybe like 100,000 households, because of course we live in a multi-family society where you have 5 to 7, 6 person living like in a household, 10 people living in a household. So that 700,000 residents truly comes down to about 100,000 plus households. So if you say, look, each household, we're going to charge you $3, right, a month to collect your waste. And we actually do a good job at it. We're on time to pick up their waste. So it gives them no opportunity to go put it or dispose it in the waterways, right? If we say we're doing it 3 times a week, we're there 3 times a week, we're punctual, we understand the responsibility we have as the service providers to the residents. I guarantee you, this problem will still be a problem, but not as significant as it is today, because the people are willing. As I said, my research shows 70% of residents are willing to pay for their waste. Now, that 30%, we can say, if we have demonstrated beyond all reasonable doubt that we are responsible service providers, I guarantee you that 30% will come on board. Then we can start talking about, look, maybe we should subsidize like the remaining who are not able to afford that $3 like a month, $3, right? Or $2 a month. We can talk about that. But that's one solution, because I don't like to just like say, complain about things or criticize a system without offering solutions. So I really wanted to just stress that look, we're not all in the dark here. There are solutions that can be implemented. And with the people already willing, we can implement that. Now, when you look at the waste that is generated, like Monrovia and Paynesville combined generate anywhere between 800 metric tons to 1,200 metric tons a day. Paynesville, uh, 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 it's around like I think like 180. Monrovia like or it's maybe flip. Monrovia like is around like 180. Paynesville like it's around 800, right? So right about that 1,000, 1,200 number per day, which yields into about 300,000, 300 plus thousand metric tons a year. 60 to 70% of that waste can be recycled and composted. When I say composted, it means that, I mean, y'all know how we eat. We eat natural foods. So most of the waste that we throw away are cassava leaf stems, potato green stem, plum seed, plum dead, right, banana dead. It means that these waste can go towards compost. That's creating another industry that will generate hundreds, if not thousands, of jobs to just do composting. Keep in mind, 60 to 70% of our waste. That's then generating that or taking that compost and then feeding it to the agriculture industry, the farmers, right? The gardeners who want to grow food. It's another industry that can be created, right? So just off of strategizing the alternative solutions. We're creating multiple other industries that will not just generate hundreds of thousands of jobs for Paynesville and Monrovia, but also create new industries that we no longer have to rely on importing things like fertilizers, right? Because now we're using the waste to do composting. That's producing fertilizers. We're producing it locally that we can feed to the farmers and what have you. The other percent is plastic. We can recycle our plastic and remake it into other things. Plastic spoons, plastic chairs, plastic plates, plastic top, plastic even slippers, right? So we can recycle and reuse. The remaining of that, which is between 30, like 20 to 30%, right? We can incinerate. We can burn. Let me simplify. We can burn. Singapore is doing it today. Other countries are doing it today because when you have limited solutions, or to the point that Mayor Bestman clearly is so right about, a whole country only has one landfill. That landfill is overwhelmed and is causing massive problems like in Waytown, right? We can reduce the amount of waste that go to the landfill by composting, by recycling, by incinerating. These equipments are not expensive. With the budget of like 1 point something million, say that Paynesville gets every year, which is very small, I agree with you, but we can be creative with it. To buy an incinerator is less than 100,000, right? To buy composting equipment, it's less than 10,000. So if we only, my point is that if we only just re-strategize and think creatively about solving this very epidemic that we have, we could be a lot much further than we currently are. And my reason for coming to Liberia was, heeding the call of the president at the time, Ellen Johnson Sirleaf. She did her rounds across the world and called for Liberians to come back. And for
Okay.
me, I'm a problem solver. So I wasn't coming to come and get to come and ask for an office job. I was coming to solve a critical problem that we were facing, which at the time was waste management.
Thank you, Fanta. Mayor Bestman said he like right before we came on, he said, I know Fanta during presidential leave time, she was involved in the waste management sector. So Fanta sounds like Mayor Bestman. This is a great resource, even though I don't know, Fanta may have, not may have, I read some of what Fanta is involved in now. She has a lot going on, but I sure she'll be open to tap into her, her knowledge, and just maybe some consultancy can happen. But I think I don't want to speak for other of you, but I want to state here that may your Bestman may be open to engage with us. I reached out to him, and the Moravia City Mayor and Mayor Bestman was the only person who said, yes, I will come on to talk about this. So I think that's a good sign that he's
Yeah, thank
open.
you for that.
Uh,
I applaud you for that. Absolutely.
yeah, I do as
Yeah.
well. Mayor
Yeah.
Bestman. Okay. So now let's go to this 210 million contract that will shortlist uh, mainly exclude Liberian companies, with Zoom Lion at the top despite corruption allegations. Um, to both for you, should foreign firms like Zoom Lion be leading such critical contracts? Or should preference go to Liberian owned companies?
I'll let the mayor take
Oh,
that first. Yeah.
And then, find out from your investigation, what do Liberians lose when contracts bypass local companies? Oh, you say you like okay, so Mayor
yeah,
Bestman,
yes,
foreign
I can go in.
Yeah.
okay.
Just before addressing the Zoom Lion issue, I think Fanta was spot on. I just wanted to speak to one or two points that she made. Yeah, it is true and open that a little over 70% of the citizens in Paynesville are willing to pay for their waste. Like
Um, did we lose him?
I
The
think we're
internet.
having some network issues. Yeah.
The internet. Okay, Fonda, you want to take that question? Should I know for you, but tell the audience for the audience signal for my sake. Should foreign firms like Zoom Lion be
Okay. There's the
basically?
yeah, I'm sorry. I think that we are in Liberia, so we'll have that on.
All right, go
So,
ahead.
so
Uh-oh.
Oh my word!
We're having some hope there, and then all of a sudden again. Wow.
Fanta, should Zoom Lion be leading such critical contracts, or should preference go to Liberian-owned companies? Just for your investigation, if it goes to foreign contract, what do Liberians lose when contracts bypass local companies?
Oh man. I think let's just give him one more try. Please go ahead, Mayor.
Yes.
Just jump right in.
yeah, I myself really don't know what's going on, but like we said, the internet in our country. So, the one and only problem that we face with the primary waste collection in our country is where to take the waste when you take it from the home. Because in waste collection, Fanta no, the waste taken from the home will refer to a primary waste collection. But you have to take it somewhere where you do the secondary to do take it to where you do the sorting. You want to do compost. You want to recycle, and 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 many of other things that you're supposed to do with the waste. But there have to be somewhere to take it. And that is the place that our country from 1847 to today didn't prepare for. The plan is sitting, I can say quote unquote, plan is sitting that was not prepared for waste. I don't know how it was planned, but it was not prepared for waste. And before the war, Paynesville were around about 25 to 50,000 inhabitants in Paynesville, growing at a rate 5% moving at that time. Right after the war, because Paynesville is the area between Monrovia and all the other county. From our 15 county, at least 12 you have to pass in Paynesville before you get to Monrovia. So when the war, most of the people that came settled in Paynesville. There was no plan for them. They encroached in wetland, different areas. All of those provinces are here. The west of all, there's no plan for waste collection with these people. So when you collect someone money, you should be able to get their waste to the place it's supposed to go. I can pay my money and you can't come for my waste at my house. That is the problem we face in Paynesville. Paynesville don't have any holding center, and you may know that Monrovia have two holding centers, one in Fiamma and one at Jamaica Road Bridge. So that gave Monrovia a little edge to hold the waste for some time and move it. Paynesville, you have to take the waste and carry it to Wentan directly. So if there's a problem at Wentan, like you said, Wentan of late is useful there. It has become a hostile, is a threat for the people in the environment there. In the dry season, every dry season, Wentan get caught up with fire. Now, as it is raining, there is fire under that dike. It is going to explode during the dry season. Sometimes it goes for 2 months where to take the waste. So you see waste all over. So we have to encourage the national government to do some initial investment in waste infrastructure. When that is done, it is easy to get people paying for the waste to take it from primary waste collection to move it to secondary waste collection. And that is our problem in Paynesville. You are right. Paynesville is the biggest city as it relates to population, and single biggest city. Next to Paynesville is Monrovia, which is 150,000. Paynesville is about 750,000. So if you look at the population to the budgetary allotment, then you know we are far above, below. Paynesville is given that 1 million and change you saw, 400,000 goes to the employee of Paynesville, which those 400,000 that goes to the employee is not only the employee that works in the office. So Paynesville now have to raise money from municipal taxes and other small money to take care of the people that clean the street. Before I got in, we have 50% to clean Paynesville. A city size of Paynesville to have 50% to clean the city, very small. We have to increase them to 125. That means we have to struggle for resources, other areas, to pay those 125 people. We have a huge fleet team because we work every night. So you have to have people, some truck driver driving in the night and some driving in the day to move the waste. So that is the breakdown of where the 1.something million goes to. One thing that was in our law before, it was during the war that it was somehow changed, it sent back to the finance ministry, was the real estate tax collection. That was spending for municipal authority. So that is why we have been trying to get back to the municipal authority that can encourage investors, somebody like Fanta that will have idea to bring investment, but she wants to know where her money will come from when she bring those investments. So when the city get back the real estate taxation, hoping we will get it January next year, because we was started this year, but we are pushing it to January next year, then we can say, Fanta, apart our survey, we have done our cadastral for the city. We approximately expect to collect $3 million in Paynesville from real estate tax. So in the $3 million, we can put $2 million for waste infrastructure and waste collection. Then they can now encourage you, Fanta, to look for money and come and invest in the sector because you know where your money will come from to be paid back to you. That is what now happening now. So we are now trying to get that done. We have done all of the survey, Mayor Siafa and myself, we were in Freetown to look at how the real estate and property tax help Freetown City to get on their footing. We were in other African cities around. That is why we are trying to put in place here so we can encourage investors to come in. So we can set up our waste infrastructure to be able to get local players to move to the community and bring waste and get somewhere to carry it. So that is the issue with the budget giving up, and that is the issue with the primary waste collection, that we can adequately able to
Yeah, the internet is at least they give you chance a little.
Well, or when time is clear, then you carry them in that time. So I come to Zoom Lion. Zoom Lion is among few companies that I into having interest in coming to work in our waste management area. And I'm one of the persons that believe that we should have Liberian in all of our sector. Just this entire thing, Fanta, let me just give a clear background. There are no 200,000 first, 200 million first. There are no 200 million first. The Liberian companies that are around, they are watching the situation. Up to now, we are still looking for how that 200 million, if any company comes to invest, how that 200 million could be getting, whether from the government, from taxation of what. Because Liberian primary waste collector, you can't be able to get 200 million from them just from taking waste. So that is a major investment. We are looking at what sector of the economy to attach it to. Everywhere now in the economy is attached. In Ghana, what they are doing, they attach it to petroleum. In Liberia, we get so many things attached to petroleum already. We get the road phone, get other things. You can't attach it any longer to petroleum. There will be an oil crack. You can't attach it to telephone. There will also be an oil crack. Liberian people with their data, and you attach $5 there will be another oil crack. In Abidjan, they attach the waste issue to electricity. Yeah, we can do any much on electricity because it is said that our tariff is along the highest in the region. So we are now struggling to find where are we going to find the 200 million from. That is the issue nobody have even spoken about yet. So all the companies that are even coming, the smarter Liberian company have looked at it and say, well, even if I bid and go through this thing, where am I going to get the money from? Where are the people going to pay my money from? So now that has not been decided. There were few companies, up to 16 companies that applied. The team was set up, headed by the Minister of Public Work, the WASH Commission, and different entities, civil society, and everybody. So from the 16, they came down with 5. All of the 5, one Liberian company was there, and they went through the process. All of the 5, the Liberian company withdrew and remained 4 companies. In the process, they came down with 2. The 2 are Zoom Lion and a G Environment from Saudi Arabia. Zoom Lion, who is Bestman group of company from Ghana, and a G Environment from Saudi Arabia are the 2 companies that just yesterday I received the report from the panel that was headed by the Finance Ministry and the Public Work. They submitted the report to both me and the mayor of Monrovia that those 2 companies need another round of viewing their documents. But the sticky point is there's no 200 million yet. There's nowhere to get the 200 million from yet. So that is a problem right now that we are at this level. There's no clear investment into the waste sector. We are still figuring out how to solve it. In Paynesville, that I run, we are finding different means because I one person, I may be wrong, I feel tired with the multilateral organization, the UNDP, the World Bank, I feel we can do something here on our own. If the $5 we're supposed to raise, we direct the $5 directly where we want to put it. We can help move our processes. Then those long bureaucratic multilateral organization processes that is never ending. Sometimes you get 5 years in it, your tenure have ended, and you can't do anything. So on the Zoom Layer and G environment company, that's where we are with the waste management project or contract to be given.
Yeah. So thank you for that. Let me make something very clear. First, where do we get the 210 million that I have been speaking about? The 210 million came from the RFP, the tender that was drafted by the Monrovia City Corporation and the Paynesville City Corporation. That is indicated in the tender, and I just share that with you, Priscilla. Feel free to share that with the mayor. That's where the $210 million came from. And I'm curious to know who did the feasibility study to come up with that $210 million. So could you answer that very quickly, Mayor Bestman? Who did the feasibility study? How did you guys come up with the 210?
So both Monrovia and Paynesville, we put a team up that did the feasibility study with some of our counterparts from the World Bank that came up with a figure that we need $200 million plus to solve the integrated waste problem here. So the figure you see, it is what we need, but it's not what available yet.
So when you say some of your partners, because this is really important, when you say some of your partners, I know you mentioned like the World Bank.
The World Bank.
So is the World Bank? So is the World Bank? Is folks from the World Bank who did the feasibility study for for MCC?
We did it jointly with the collaboration of the World Bank.
Okay. So you know, I touched based on this earlier to say that. Well, let me preface by saying we are very good. We're very, very good at creating elaborate policy, elaborate feasibility studies to solve really to apply, right? Like instead of applying simple solutions to what we perceived as complex, complicated problems. An epidemic doesn't equate complexity. We have an issue that has not been resolved because clearly it has been abandoned. It has not been given the level of attention that it truly deserves because the country, the administration of the country has decided that waste management is something that is not important. Therefore, us allocating hundreds of thousands of dollars to our private cars, to building private mansions is much more important than focusing on solving the issue and the infrastructure of waste management. And therefore, they are good for meetings, right? They're good for having the extensive discussions where they will go and pay thousands of dollars at hotels, right? Hotels for weeks, for days. That will be 20, 30 people, 50 people sitting at a hotel, spending thousands of dollars just to talk about this solution, right? And when you look at, I'm very curious, I can guesstimate. When you look at the amount of time, the amount of money we have spent just talking about the problem instead of really, really being tactical in deriving a solution, it is in the millions. The money we spend at your Royal Hotel, at your Boulevard Hotel, out of the country, right, elsewhere, trying to talk or continuing to talk about the problem has not served us. We need to understand that the solutions for Africa's problems, for African problems, for Liberian problems cannot be solutioned by people external to Africa. They cannot be solutioned by people external to Liberia. Yes, we can take into consideration what they say here or there, but ultimately that solution has to come from us because we are the ones who understand our geographical demographics. We understand the type of waste that we generate. So if someone says to you, and we know this to be a fact, so it's not even speculation, Liberia generates, or Monrovia and Paynesville broadly generates anywhere from 800 to 1,200 metric tons of waste every single day. 60% of that, right, can be composted. It means 60% of that is organic waste. Organic waste, as I mentioned earlier, cassava leaf, dead, potato green dead, plum dead, plantain dead, cassava dead. It can be put into tins or containers that can be composted and used for fertilizers. So we don't need these elaborate solutions to our very, very, very simple problems. And I'm not oversimplifying it, because we have to think about solutions in a more practical sense. That's the only way we move the needle forward. Sitting in hotel rooms and just talking about them doesn't work, and we end up spending that money. I guarantee you, all the money that has been spent in those discussions, if they were only allocated to the Paynesville budget, Paynesville could use those hundreds of thousands of dollars, if not millions, to buy bins, right? Large waste bins, right? And put all of those organic waste in them, with microorganisms and worms will break them down into combustible or compostable forms, where we can then use as fertilizer that can then create a whole fertilizing industry for our country, and then serve the farmers. So we limit what we currently import, what we currently spend on fertilizers. So it is a circular problem, because you have to look at, say, for example, if Paynesville say, look, I'm going to take 100,000, or rather than being engaged in this process that is spending hundreds of thousands, millions of dollars in these various hotels, having these discussions, give us like 200,000, give us 300,000, give us 100,000. Let's buy these very, very large bins and put in strategic locations across Paynesville and socialize, right? And educate our residents, your 700,000 plus residents, to say, look, all of y'all, when it comes to potato green waste, plum waste, cassava waste, right? Any organic waste, put it in this blue bin. Nobody should put organic waste anywhere else but in this blue bins. You're solving 60% of that problem already with very simple solution. 60% then doesn't have to go to Weentown. I hope you understand. That's what I'm talking about. Like when I say we are very good at just talking about the problem, and then often inviting external parties, right, to solve our problems. We have to understand that they are great as partners, but they're only going to give us the solutions that they know, the way they know how. We understand. No one understands what we do better than us. So if only we just redirect that strategy, or re-strategize to focus on introducing practical solutions, I guarantee you we can solve that problem. We don't need exorbitant budgets. And the issue of Zoomlion is one that I think truly, truly strikes to the core of who we are as a people and our ethics. Because it is in these points that are very defining, right? Or that are going to define, say, your legacy, you as a mayor, you as a public figure, your legacy, the legacy of the mayor of Monrovia. When you have a company, and this is not an allegation, when you have a company who was caught for corruption, who admitted to corruption and colluding with the Liberian government as bribes, as paying bribes for contracts, it is not an allegation. The World Bank found overwhelming evidence against Zoomlion, to the point where Zoomlion themselves even admitted, yes, we paid bribes. That's how overwhelming the evidence was. Knowing this very well, and knowing that that investigation was not a 1 2 month investigation, the World Bank flew a 4 or 5 member team down from Washington, D.C. to investigate this case. It was found. Zoomlion admitted, say, yes, I did it. I paid La Brand government thousands of dollars for the contract. The World Bank said, okay, as punishment, you are barred. We have found you guilty, you are barred. So I want to make it very clear. It's not a Fanta Kamara allegation, or there's an allegation out there. It has been proven. So we really need to move beyond that. If we're really serious about solving corruption in public service in our country. We can't, this government especially cannot say that they're a government of ridding of corruption, but then would entertain a company like Zoom Lion, who once ripped the Liberian people of their resources. To then say, okay, it's been only 10 years. So 10 years has passed. It's okay. Come back again, Zoom Lion. So we can entertain a conversation that is worth $200+ million. Does it make any sense? Does it make any sense? Look, my issue is about the Liberianization policy. We have to strengthen our Liberian companies who do not have the capacity, who have the willpower to be active and engaged in our waste sectors. We have to empower them. We have to improve their capacity. No one else can do that but us. Not the World Bank, not the IMF, not the European, not anyone else, but Liberians. And it is in these public service contracts that we empower them. The way we do that is two ways. We either say, look, we give this contract directly to a Liberian company and hire consultants like myself, like people who understand the industry, to come on and make sure that the investment actually go towards where it needs to go to. Or we say, okay, we're going to be open to partnering up with an international company, but that international company cannot be one that has been caught for corruption in our own country. This is the point I'm trying to drive. And with the partnership of an international company that is going to prioritize, right, portion of, or they're going to allocate massive portion of that contract to a Liberian company to once again build their capacity. That partnership is going to be mandated in the tender, to where you say, look, you as an international company, okay, Liberia doesn't have the 200+ million, but you bring in your 200 million, make sure that you partner with a Liberian company, at least give them 20%, 30%. That's how we build the capacity. Always say this goes to a Liberian company, but it cannot go to a corrupt company like Zoom Lion that has been found for corruption in Liberia. So my question to the mayor, I really want you to answer this, and I'm really glad that you were able to come on, because we cannot solve like Liberia problems, right, with cowards. We solve it with brave people like yourself, right? In this situation, understanding Zoom Lion history of corruption, Zoom Lion been found guilty of corruption, not an allegation of corruption, for the same waste management contract. They admit, even their CEO on another platform very recently, a month ago, was interviewed, and he admitted that, oh, someone paid, I think, like around $10,000, $12,000, $20,000. He said that. Please go back and look at the interview. That yes, we paid that bribe, and we were found guilty, and the World Bank banned us. Knowing all of that, you are a decision maker. Why would you still consider a company that has openly admitted to bribing officials within the city, the same city government? Why would you reconsider them? What does that say about your morals and ethics that you're trying to drive as a city leader? I really want for you to answer that question in your best.
Okay. Fanta coming to take over the interview. She posing the questions. But you know what?
The Liberian people want to know, right? The Liberian people want to know.
I want to answer Fanta.
I'm going to answer Fanta. But to agree, I mean, to just buttress, Fanta point, if I heard allegation, no, I'm just going to read something quickly from front page report that Zoom Lion in 2013, the World Bank debarred the company for 2 years for corruption practices in Liberia. Mm-hmm. And then specifically, like Fanta is saying, Zoom Lion admitted to paying bribes to government officials during implementation of the World Bank financed program, sanitation project. And so this fallout damaged their reputation. Even in Ghana, in their home country, Zoom Lion is under scrutiny. It prompted public protests, media investigation, and the termination of major contracts. So their own government, according to the country auditor general, revealed systemic financial irregularities, poor service delivery, and the exploitation of sanitation workers under government contracts. So yes, to fantastic question. I know the mayor Bestman, you said something like But we have the money. That's how it sounded to me. Okay, you even got the money, but you already listed Zone Lion. I think it is fair for a call for concern for from people like Fanta, who are vested in this sector, in this industry.
Liberian people, remove Fanta from it for the Liberian people because the service is to the Liberian people, the citizens, for example, of Paynesville, the citizens of Monrovia, right? The citizens of Liberia broadly. So remove Fanta from it. Fanta is just an advocate. She got no fish to fry in it, right?
Yeah, so it's fair
Yeah,
for concern if you can, on the one hand argue, hey, this noise we're making, we even get it here in the meantime, but you're already shortlisting, especially people with troubling reputation, like Zone Lion. So do you believe Liberian firms, yeah, so maybe just answer the question from that
uh,
earlier.
um,
What does it say
you're,
about
right-
you?
you're right. You're right that as a Liberian and professional in the sector, you have this concern, and it's
And
just
also
right that
as a local city government like Paynesville, what role you play in ensuring transparency when big national contracts like this are awarded?
so I'm coming there. So like like you like you, I also have been in this sector for a couple while. Like I told you, I was minister in that sector in the Ellen Johnson Sirleaf government. So I followed those issues because I was responsible to report on all the cities. And Monrovia City Zone Lion agreement, I was aware of it. I asked these very same questions from Pinze and when we started the process about Zone Lion. I'm not, Pinze is not heading the committee, Monrovia is not heading the committee. It's a multi agency committee that's put together that is driving the procurement process. One of the questions from Paynesville was Zone Lion record in the past time working year. And that question came from Paynesville. We put it out, and it is part of the process. So the team working have been following it. As I said, it was yesterday evening that, excuse me, I received the full report of all the team.
Okay.
I just turned it over to my COS because I was, that's a Friday evening. I turned it over to my COS. I told him we were going to have a meeting around it to see what the report was from the first step of the procurement. We
Can I
asked that question. So the answer to that question will also be in the report that was filed to us because
okay. I was
we
going to
are not, what?
no, sorry. No, I was going to
So
quick
we,
I was going to ask you that did you have the time to skim through it to see the updated short list, whether Zone Lion is still on it? But it sounds like
Yes, as I scan through it, that I want to do to see all of the what brought us to that short list. Zoom Lion is in it.
huh?
Zoom Lion is in it. I will see all of it because we asked the same question from Paynesville that you are asking. Because we are not, I mean, when we heard that the companies that apply, because I was at internal affairs yesterday and I know about that. So I found that particular part as one of the concerns from Paynesville. So it is there. The committees will speak to it. I will read it in the report. What document that Zoom Lion presented to the committee that qualify them to go to the next stage, I'm going to see it. As I said, Friday, the final report is a volume of paper or a whole banner booklet that was presented on Friday, both to me and the mayor of Monrovia. So the team presented it to us because there's a whole intergovernmental team that's doing the recruitment. Yes, it is going to be for Paynesville and Monrovia, but we are not heading the team. So I received that. And it is true. I raised the same question like you raised.
Okay.
And I raised it at the beginning of the entire process. When I
Okay.
heard that Zone Lion was part of the process, I said, oh, I was at internal affairs working with cities. This issue, the same World Bank report, I submitted it there too. So I will get the response because I'm not to interfere with the team working until the report is sent to me. So now the report has been sent to me. I will give my response to the report. Mayor Safa will give his response, and the other group that are on the team will give their response. And I think it got 2 or 3 more steps to reach the finality of the report. So, like
Let me
you
just say
said,
this.
in
Yeah, this is very important. Let me just say this, and once again, I really appreciate you taking this opportunity to add the clarification, Mayor Bestman. And even though I have not met you, and I just met you formally, I can tell that you're a decent person. I can tell that you truly care about Liberia and you care about Paynesville. You care about your people.
Sure.
And as a long-term public servant, my father served the Ministry of Public Works for 40 plus years. He was a person where if they give them one drum of fuel to go and do road project, and they use 90 or they get in 100 gallons and they use 90 gallons, he will put that 10 gallons back on the truck and take it back to the ministry. And some of his colleagues would be so upset with him. Why wrong with the papa here? We can't just share that here. And he would say, no, this 10 gallon belongs to the Ministry of Public Works. It belongs to the people of Liberia. It does not belong to me. And therefore, when we get salaries every month, the Liberian government pay us salaries every month, regardless if we think it's sufficient or not. We have agreed to accept these salaries, and therefore we are obligated. We are obligated to do the morally correct thing, to be ethical in our jobs, because it's about legacy. My father will always tell me this. It's about legacy, it's about principle. And I tell that you are a decent person. And you absolutely, because for me, they have called me like a rebel. I accept I am a rebel. I am a Liberian first, and therefore I would not see something sitting down with this my very big mouth and not say anything about it. Protect your legacy and push back against corruption, blatant corruption, while you're staring down at it, because it's staring right at you and the people are looking at you right now. What are you going to do? What type of stand are you going to take as our leader? Because look, I am volunteering my time to you. Pro bono. I will volunteer my time to you. I will sit down. I will take a look at some of your strategies, and I will help you derive some strategies that will truly relieve the people of Paynesville, right, of the waste a burden that they're currently experiencing. I'm seeing this on this public platform. I'm willing to do that. What you cannot afford to do, what we cannot afford to do as we're trying to move forward and away from corruption into a brighter future, is continue to allow the chains, the shackles of corruption to hold us back just because we're trying to achieve a few personal gains. Let me tell you, some of the decision makers who are on the list, right? Is the Ministry of Finance and Development and Planning, is the Ministry of Public Works, is in the Environmental Protection Agency, the EPA. It says the Paynesville City Corporation, the Monrovia City Corporation, the Civil Society Group, WASH Commission, community-based enterprises, small and medium enterprises. Look, all of you who are, especially you, the both mayors, who are essentially the beneficiary of these services, you must take a stand. You must take a stand that is going to speak for you tomorrow, and is going to speak for your legacy tomorrow. And this is the time. This is the time. We cannot mince words. The PPCC is also involved with this. We cannot mince words. Two solutions here I'm offering once again. This either goes to a Liberian company or it goes to a company that is willing to give Liberian company capacity and equity. I'm happy to work with them as well. But we cannot repeat mistakes of the past, because it would change
on the part of Liberian participation, regardless of what companies are going to get it, it's clearly spelled out in whatsoever agreement are going to come in. There's a Liberian component of it. First, you have to have a Liberian partner. You have to have a Liberian company working with. And This entire deal is merely on the big aspect of the waste management, where you are doing the recycling plan, you are doing the compost plan, you are doing all of those things. It's merely where is it the issue of waste movement, primary waste movement, all those things. It remains with Liberian companies. That one clearly, there's no foreign company get involved with waste movement. So it's waste infrastructure development and the end product of what waste become. Like you clearly spoke about compost. A huge portion percentage of our waste is actually organic waste. You are right. So what do we do with it? So in our country, like other country, sorting out the waste from whom you give them 3, 4 buckets, it's still difficult, like even in developing country. So you have to have area like what being done in other country, material recovery center. Yeah.
Yeah.
So when you take it, you can sort it up and move what waste to what area. We have some of those machines in China, Europe, and other things can do the sorting up with the help of human beings. Some of those things are clearly right that a Liberian company will be on. And now Liberian company are taking the both step. Like a new Liberian company now doing waste to energy. In Bento, they are digging their pots, they are doing other things. With all of those situations, then it is not time, okay, because waste to energy will need a lot of waste. We have gone there. We see what the company is doing there. They are not digging. They are bringing the points. They are connecting. So now they are saying November they can start taking waste. They want to start putting the first sort of energy up by next year. So when if they start taking waste by November, it's still down the waste situation. Waste to energy is one thing too that we encourage. And there's a lot of company now going real far with it.
Yeah,
Going
Zoom
real
Line is
far
not
with
the solution. Zoom Line is not the solution. Look, like the issue of sorting stations, you can establish sorting stations for like less than $10,000, right? Because you're essentially saying, and what you would need for a sorting station is those long tables. When you look at how like Ghana does it, or Nigeria, not Zoom Lion. There are private companies like in Ghana, like in Nigeria, who does like sorting stations like really well, and it's very very simple. Look, you what you need for a sorting station, like you need zinc. You can literally do a large zinc round warehouse for your sorting stations. You have long tables, right? They do this in India, they do this in China, they do this in Singapore. Long sorting tables where they bring the waste, they dump the waste, right, in a certain location, and the sorters on a conveyor belt, right? The conveyor belt brings the waste on the table. It is sorted. So you're also talking about employing hundreds of people, if not thousands of people, to sort through that waste and simply put them in the different category. Plastic go one side, right? Watermelon, orange, there go one side, right? The organic go one side, and what needs to be incinerated is incinerator and an incinerator. An incinerator, right? The machine that can burn the waste, that can burn the dead, that you cannot recycle, that is not organic. That machine costs for 300 ton is around like 10 to 15,000, right? For 300 ton to process 300 tons of waste a day is around 10 to 15,000, right? Just to get the machine. Now, even like with the setup, you're still not paying like above that. So Liberia, Monrovia, and Paynesville generates between 800 to 1,200. If you look at that, say you need maybe like 4 of those like 300 ton a day machines to incinerate all that 1,200 metric tons. That means nothing goes to the landfill. If that is the solution. And you know what the price tag of that is? We're looking at less than $50,000 to swap 1,200 metric tons of waste a day to incinerate, to burn safely 1,200 metric tons of waste a day, the same amount that Monrovia and Paynesville generates daily. 100%. Now, if we're talking about 60%, it's less than $50,000. So I really like to both quantify and and qualify solutions, because I think when we reduce them down to that level of practicality, it truly gives us visibility, right, and encouragement into this a situation we thought was so complex that we can actually solve it. We can
Okay.
actually solve it. Zoomline is not the solution. Zoomline should never be a part of this equation. And I guarantee you, if this is the hill I die on, this is the hill I die on. But Zoomline would never be allowed to get to be awarded any service contract in Liberia again. We're sick of it. We're sick of it. The blatant corruption just has to stop.
So the thing, even Zoom Lion still being shortlisted is really
Yeah, it's mind-boggling. What are we
I
doing?
shouldn't be laughing about, but so it sounds like Mayor Bestman and Fanta was able to put forth some really amazing, great ideas. And I appreciate that you acknowledged her before we came on. When I tried to introduce her, he said, "Oh, I know, I know her in this sector. I know her in this industry, but I don't know her personally." So hopefully, this will be a point of contact moving forward for future collaboration. So even though she's one person who's speaking out here, but I don't think she's the only person in the entire country in Liberia that has knowledge and the capacity. So, listening to Fanta, I think you can agree that the argument that Liberian companies lack capacity should no longer hold water, because even you uh, alluded to the fact that you in favor of local capacities, being built or the locals being included. So that is another concern on our youth employment and opportunity. You know how the sector can reimagine and be an engine for youth employment and dignity. So you try and incorporate that, how accountability, what accountability measures you need to ensure young Liberians actually benefit. Okay, I want to come to the issue of accountability because um, this whole thing ties in with accountability. I mean, I was really shocked. Maybe I'm naive. I always think highly about certain people, but I was really shocked when I heard Fanta share her experience, and I want her to go into that, Fanta, if it's okay with you, so that it gives some of us who are still close, who are thinking like me, that this thing is really a serious issue, even from people that we least expect. You said, you know, that the former president, when you say, if it's this hill I would die on, I would die on it. So you bear up this hill, but then you were approached, and then there was this comment that she made, that you can eat principle because you're a child who was raised by a man of principle. You just share by your father. That really had an impact on you, on the way you look at the world, on the way you navigate the world. And then to get that in the middle of you trying to make your case, that I can get involved in this and this is how I can go about it. And then former President Ellen Johnson Sirleaf said, you can eat principle. What does that reveal about our leadership culture?
You know, I don't think Ellen understood or understands the impact of some of her decisions. Um, the fact that some of us don't even know what you call baby pictures. The fact that that was stolen from us. The fact that
Say that again.
some of us don't even, yeah, some of us don't even have baby pictures. We don't know what it's like to be a child because our childhoods were ripped from under our feet. Um, at a very young age, you're talking to plus having to walk for miles, walk through brushes, um, your 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 parents trying to protect you, walk past dead bodies. Um, when you think about it, as an adult, and sometimes you're in gatherings where your friends are, sharing their baby photos, and they're sharing their childhood experiences, because a lot of what shapes us as adults is our childhood, right? And I think often we don't understand that. But when you get into that space, like for example, sometimes like Facebook, like will remind you, oh, this was you 10 years ago, this was you like 20 years ago, right? Like to do that comparison. I don't have that. Most of us don't have that. Hundreds of thousands of Liberians don't have that.
Especially some of you
Yeah.
who lived in your childhood as refugees. Yeah.
Absolutely. Being like going for days and not knowing like where your next meal was like coming from, or eating scraps, or having to fight for like scraps of bread, or finding yourself like in a country where there's a culture of shock, whether it was Sierra Leone or Guinea, um, being chased away from your home just because for nefarious reasons, which we came to find out about, and the fact that she was directly part of those who were responsible. And she has admitted this. So this is not Fanta Kamara saying this, that she, I think, funded Charles Taylor's initial operation of $10,000 or like whatever, like the case might be. That associates her, right? Directly connects her with funding of the war that led to 250,000, like death of 250,000 plus Liberians. To then be given an opportunity to course correct, to correct that, and say, look, you'll come back, those of you who have fled due to the war, you'll come back and you'll help us to rebuild the country.
So,
And
Fanta,
so, our lives,
let's
right?
so you were born in Debris More Open, and
Yeah.
then you were little, and then you ran away.
Yeah.
And then so then you came back.
Yeah.
You told of how you just got out for 2 weeks and you came to Liberia, and then
Yeah.
you stayed for years.
Yeah. So I was born on Crown Hill. And then shortly after that, my family moved to Debris Mouth Open in Garnersville. And that, I mean, the war happened shortly after that, and we absolutely lost everything. My mom being Madingo, Fula, and Pele. My father being Vai, Gola, Mende, not so much him, but my mother, I mean, we were hunted, right? Because we were hunting the Madingo tribe. And so as a child, to experience that and then experience the whole refugee lifestyle, but have this resilience, putting God first and understanding that, look, things happen, let's just chalk it up to that, right? All this trauma that had been buried. So then say, let me heed the call of the one person who has raised her hand to say, I was involved, I funded. Whether how we want to prosecute her is a different story. But then to heed the call of such a person, to abandon your life as an adult, as a well-to-do adult, to say, you know what, I have Liberia at heart. I'm a Liberian girl. No one can take that away from me. I am more Liberian than Liberia itself, right? To come back and say, I'm not coming to ask for office job. I'm coming to identify what is the most technical sector here that we really need to help resolve. To come back and pick waste management as that sector, and really invest in learning what it means to derive strategic and tactical waste management solutions for Liberia, for Monrovia, for the Paynesville area, for most of Monrovia and its environs. To have worked, I think, 3 years at the time, day in and out. I was on that land field. I can tell you the stench of Windfield, of Windtown. I know how the dirt at Windtown smell. Nobody cannot tell me like that smell, because I was in the midst of it, day in and out. To then position yourself to where you'll be able to bid for a bigger contract that we have been advocating. My company was the one pushing for that long-term contract, and the World Bank finally took heed with all of the data that we provided. And they say, you know what? It makes sense. You cannot build capacity with short-term initiatives. It has to be extended. To then have the same city, right, government, Monrovia City Corporation, and came to find out the president of Liberia and her friends colluding to take that contract away from a Liberian. We go back to her because, right, as the decision maker, that final decision maker, and for her to say you can't eat principle was a double stab in the heart. It brought up all the trauma, right? All the childhood trauma that most of us have been trying to park aside. Right?
You can eat principle.
You cannot eat principle. When we say, Madam President, this is about principle. We really came here to develop this industry that is non-existent. Mr. Bestman, no, there was Libra Sanitation, there was NC Senators, and there was us, right? And we were doing extremely well. We have really dedicated our time to understanding that the industry. That was really heartbreaking. To find out that the person who brought Zoomlion was Abdallah Sharif, who sits on her board today of presidential nonprofit or media or like what have you. And for her to make that statement, let us know that she didn't care once again about the welfare of us. She didn't care about the welfare of Liberians. And she was all in it for her personal gain. And it is sad. It is despicable. It was a stab in the heart again. Look, my father was mutilated by rebels. They gave him alcohol to drink and they chopped him into pieces. I can tie her to that. So I said, let me put all of that behind me and come and heed your call.
When she said Liberians come home.
Right, to stab us in the back. I think she has to answer for that. And whether it's by her conscience or only time will tell, but it was the saddest view into leadership. Not even leadership, the saddest view into a poor excuse for leadership because she could have done better. She had the opportunity to, and she didn't. So I'll leave her with her conscience. I'll leave her with the Liberian people. Thank you. Make up for those crimes.
Thank you. And and for myself, I don't want to speak for everyone to say on behalf of, but I have listened to, and it really is emotional when you talked about your lost childhood. I work with a Liberian who sometimes when I'm talking about school days, or talking about so when up Broad Street when I was going to Cathedral, and then also then Randall Street, then when I started going to convent. So one time she looked at me and she said, I don't have any of those experiences. I don't have all those experience. I was a child and we had to run away. I wish I had. I really, one time she said, I really wish I could share those kind of things. So you don't know how much the war has impacted other people and impacted all of us. It just impacted us differently. So I mean, all I can say is I'm just sorry about your experience, your family experience, and then to come back and then believe in the call, say come back home as a diasporan Liberian, and then you put all your years into it, and then the head of the country say, girl, take principle from here.
Yeah.
I want to, this is a segue to diaspora partnerships.
Let me just picking right here. I would like to father you for to say to Fanta on the story of the war. We're sorry, and we all share the same thing. And one person that most of my colleagues have tried to buy in the sentiment of the war crime and other things. Sometimes I sit down a lot and I look at all that have happened in our country. That I read a lot. I used to teach in high school history and economics. I was vice principal for HEWU. So I try to look at the situation. You see, on the this, Madam Salif is one of the human beings in our country that I respect very highly, and I love her courage, and she helped shape portion of my professional life because she was the first person that gave me opportunity in two different government ministries to serve as assistant minister and deputy minister, and there's a lot. So I have seen around president. That's why when people talk, sometimes I sit down and look because people get away when you become president. They get away that you are barricaded. They only allow you to hear what they want you to hear, and they allow you to know what they want you to know. They get that other group that will be there. So some of the things, especially when this person is heading that sector, the president relied on the person for information to that sector. Like if I'm internal affairs minister, if the president is above to take a decision that will affect the sector, the minister are going to be the last advisor on that decision. God, the president had trust that person. So if Mary Brown was the Monrovia City mayor and people that was around, the president have to rely on their advice to move that sector because they are the one that was trusted with information to come from there. Howbeit, sometimes you go beyond, but most likely you take the advice of the people you put to manage that sector. I work in a ministerial sector, and
What
I
does that
know.
have to do with she herself? Forget
I'm coming.
she
I'm coming.
herself saying like yeah. What
I'm
does that
coming
have
there. And she said, "We don't eat principle that I can speak to." It was
That's
you
the
to her.
comment here, right? Like that's
Uh,
the question
it,
here. It's not about
Let-
anything
it was
else.
it was it was you to her
Let's
on
move
the
on.
issue of the war. Like you now, I think Maya Sharif was doing exactly what you are doing now. There are things that people would look at and say, let us be. Other people say, no, this is wrong. We have to confront it. And that was what Maya Sharif and other people did yesterday. They
Did
I
this
don't want us to lose you, and Mayor Bestman. I'm not sure what you're responding to, but
Yeah, like man,
Fanta,
best man, your points fine. Frankly, do not are irrelevant to the point that is being made here.
no,
And
no.
let me
You
give you
can't.
opportunity.
I
That's
don't
good.
see the aspect like you see it. That
very
doesn't make my point
Let
irrelevant.
me give you
When,
opportunity. That's good.
no,
That's good. We applaud you, but it doesn't
no,
have
no,
to
that's
have
not the
to do with the point that I'm
opportunity.
making.
You are holding her responsible for all the chaos in our country to come
no,
here. She
no.
says she has one of the
You
main.
brought up,
No,
Uh,
do not speak falsely of me. I'm sitting right here. Don't
no.
speak falsely of me. I will
no,
reject
let's
that. I reject that.
let's see now. I gave you
I
the
reject that. I
Yeah,
reject
but,
it. Please take it back.
chance, and
yeah,
if I learn it, you get
no,
well.
you
Uh,
listen to me.
so
Um,
may I have the
No, you cannot land until you take that back. I'm sorry. This is where like you've crossed the line. I did not say the things that you're accusing me of. So please take it back. Take
hello,
it back.
hello, hello. So, I'm sorry, I had to mute the both of you because somebody else will be coming on. Um, and Mayor Bestman, Fanta share her experience. That was her experience. She met with the president, and it re-traumatized her. So she shared that she has the right to that. I don't want to minimize or to take it away, please. We had different experiences. You had great experience with the former person. That's great. I haven't had any bad experience with her, but Fanta had her experience, and that's her experience. I mean, she met with the president. She did meet with the president, and this issue about taking away, or I mean, not having her childhood the way she would love to, probably. Even just 2 days ago, we're on the phone, and Fanta was sharing that, I mean, those there are things with people that you don't want to. Anyway, I wanted to also end on diaspora partnerships. People, the diaspora has skills and resources, and so is Liberians at home have skills. But the diaspora Liberians, some of them claim that they face resistance. Um, we have Fanta experience that was not, I wouldn't say it was resistant, but I think it was just a letdown. It sounds like that to me, complete disappointment. Or girl just leaving her home in Philadelphia, put her bag on her back and say, I'm going to my country. The president said, come home, and then stay for 5 years instead of 2 weeks. Um, or things in storage or go auction. Nobody knows what happened in the US. And then finally get to face meet the president, and then the president says, and then she arguing for principle. The president says, girl, we don't eat principle here. Um, what lessons can diaspora Liberians learn from your journey of engagement, Fanta? I need you to please speak to that.
Yeah, I want to emphasize that all hope should not be lost. Liberia is our country. We were born there. Most of us, even if you were not born there, you still have a strong lineage to the country, and for especially for those who were born there, we cannot be born elsewhere, right? So we have this sense of connection that is very deep, that should go beyond any infractions, and when those infractions like do take place, we should ever more be strengthened, we should ever more be resilient, we should ever more be encouraged to move forward, because look, diamonds were created from pressure, right? Or diamonds are created from pressure, and we're diamonds. That's exactly who we are. We're people who are very resilient. We're people who are very creative. We're people who are very, very intelligent. And no one can take that away from us, no matter what type of obstacles they put in our ways, what type of pitfalls they introduce, what type of roadblocks. We have to push forward, and we must push forward because our future depends on it. The future of our children depends on it. The future that we aspire to desperately depends on it, because no matter what other passports you hold, I always say this, right? It's absolutely incomparable to that of the Liberian passport, and your bloodline is in Liberia. So look, what we have experienced in terms of leadership, in terms of administration, there might be some good apples, but the entire box is probably very, very rotten. And if we stay out of that discussion to say we're not going to push for good governance, we're not going to push for a better future, we're not going to push for better transparency, where does that leave us, right? That leaves the situation to continue to deteriorate, which we cannot afford further or gross deterioration. So we must leverage our voices, or we must use our voices. We must be the voices for the voiceless, and we must push forward, irrespective of which sector you choose to pursue, whether it's agriculture, whether it is a blue collar business, whether it's waste management, whether it is oil and gas, like whatever it is. Do not be discouraged by the temporary infractions, whether it's people who are processes. At the end of the day, only us can make Liberia into the nation that we can all be proud of. And God first. No matter what we do, we must understand that development, centric to development, is the moral compass of faith and God. Without that, what stops us, right? What stops us from being corrupt? If not for faith, if not for God, and if not for the fact that we must take Liberia to the next stage. So it's on us, it's on this generation, which is why my company exists, Generation Liberia, because I truly believe this is the generation that is going to push for the type of transformation in Liberia leadership that is truly required. My generation. So it is incumbent upon us to take that responsibility and that obligation very, 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 very seriously. No matter if you're Crew, if you're Basso, if you're Kram, Madingo, Pele, Loma, whatever it is, we're all Liberians, and we must galvanize, right? We must unite ensuring that we can transform our country into one that we can be a part of. Nothing should discourage us, because I look at them as temporary infractions, and that's exactly what they are. So Liberia first, and that's our marching order.
Thank you, Fanta. Mayor Bestman, before you answer that question, let me just read a comment from until recently a diaspora Liberian who until recently was staying over here in the US but just returned to Liberia. His name is James Faswakwe. Fasukwe. Sorry, James, my brother. He said, thank you, Sis Priscilla, for this key topic, which has been overlooked by many of our local media here. Fanta has, I'll show him in Fanta. Fanta has a strong point. City mayors here don't know what they are doing. James. Um, um, Mayor Bestman has articulated that he knows what he's doing. I can't believe I will come back. Okay, so this is what I really want to share. I can't believe I will come back to Liberia and still have to bury my house waste underground, which is another dangerous thing. As we know, I followed Zone Lion's work during my 2011 trip here to Liberia, and there wasn't anything much they were doing for Liberians other than getting huge pays from Liberian taxpayer. So until recently, that he was a diaspora Liberian who just returned home. So Mayor Bestman, how can city leadership better welcome and integrate diaspora expertise? How can city leadership better welcome and integrate diaspora expertise?
Liberians. They are welcome at all times to give back to the country, and many of them have reached out to Paynesville, the Paynesville citizen in the U.S. and other part of the world, in Canada, and they reach out to me most time, and they play their role, and we are open to bringing back what they have learned from in other countries. We ourselves have had the opportunity to travel to other countries and see what is being done there. We appreciate the role that they play here. It's just that the balance of thinking, how people think about each other. I went to the U.S. Some time back when I used to be minister. When you sit down, you hear some of the conversation of the people. I was sitting in the gallery in Philadelphia, and people were having conversation, and you could tell that they had no or little information at all as to how things work at certain level, because it's easy to look at things and talk, and we refer to it as pedestrian conversation, where you're in the market and you hear on the news that this thing happened and you analyze it in your own way, as compared to working with the issues and knowing how to solve them. So we can't have one group of people just condemn the other group of people. We both have to come together, work together to build a nation together. But if one group of people feel that they are better than the other group, then you see resentment. Most of the time, that's where you see the fight between diaspora Liberian and Liberian on the ground to say, oh, okay, these people feel that they are better than us. So we'll feel, even when it comes to our political process, our processes, you see people are resenting people from this side. It's not that they don't know that these people are our brothers, our sisters, but the way conversation is kept, people believe in, like during the war, the group that was in the Taylor region, the group that are in Morovia, or the group that are in Taylor region, all of them are rebels. So that perception is there. Or the group that are in Morovia, they are so people. That's how it looks like now between the diaspora Liberians and the Liberian on ground. Unless we bridge this thing, we need all sides to come together, and there are very knowledgeable Liberians here, like there are knowledgeable Liberians in the US and other part of the world. We need to bring all together that the Ghanaians are doing, like the Nigerians are doing. We need to bring all together. There are some Liberians here that people in America are far educated and experienced than But there are some Liberians here that are experienced and far educated there than some people in the US. We have to acknowledge that and bring all together and see how we can work on it to move aside. We can't condemn one sector of the citizen. Everybody has something to give. And that thing you have to give is what is important to building our country. I have worked with other people. Just as a disclosure, I have been in the political cycle. And now, as I speak, I'm the chairman for Unity Party in Monserrado. While I'm a professional, I'm still involved in the politics because it is the politics that run our country. If we that are professionals stay away from politics, we'll have people who will run our country that are not fit to even run our kitchens. So we have to get into it. So I have been in different countries, one like South Africa over 5 times. Work with people there to see how the people build their country. Everybody together bring something to help the country build. And in Paynesville, we are open to all of that. Our Ivory Coast, to the ambassador of Liberia in Ivory Coast, a proud senior citizen of Paynesville, and she gave a lot of help.
Thank you.
In Paynesville, yeah.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you. I mean, you're right. And that's what on a new day, that's why I really do try to reach out to people on the ground. Like if you follow a new day conversations, I mean, sometimes it wouldn't be evident because they don't show up anyway. I try when I'm getting people someone from the diaspora, but mainly when it has to do with in Liberia, I rather get a policymaker or someone who is directly involved. But sometimes people don't want to engage. Maybe this is some of the reasons, but sometimes I just don't want to rely on someone who hasn't been on the ground for a month or two, and suggesting all the best solutions. So New Day tries to engage with but most times people don't show up. Like again, they won't show up. The Moria City Mayor John Safwa just has not refused to respond or didn't respond. But so I'm glad that you are open to engaging. Let's talk about solutions and call to action as we wrap up. Um, so Mayor Bestman, if you can just briefly, what one step your city is taking right now to ensure cleaner, safer communities?
Okay, so when we took over, we tried to work on policy issue first. We just completed in our first year. We completed our strategic plan 5 years. That we made sure that took care of most of what we want to do. Is now we have an active website. I think I send you the website information. There is that PCC, I mean Paynesville City Corporation. So you will find on our website our major area of engagement, some of which is urban mobility. Our city, if you look at our city, it's one of the more congested part of Liberia, especially the Red End, the ELWA Junction, the Dupo Road Junction, and some of our community, the other way are close. There's a lot of congested traffic, so we are trying to redesign our community by educating people that you have to free the other way so we can have ambulance or fire truck going in when there's emergency. We are trying to build a city government that will not only be focused on waste management, because waste is just 10% of what a city should be doing. So a city is where a nation is built from. So we came in, we try to focus on inclusive development, focusing on youth development, our elderly citizens, our women and children. We are trying to put all in the bracket to see how we can involve with it better. And we are getting involved in infrastructure development. We have now established the Department of Health at the Paynesville City Corporation, where we get a little trauma center. We have employed some nurses that at least we can take over some immediate things when there's a first aid issue. We can handle it. We are also trying to get ambulance that when there's a private
Okay. We want to make sure we finish within time because someone else. Oh, I thought we lost. So
Okay,
okay.
let me just conclude. So we are trying to build a city government that will not only be doing solid waste management. A city government that will look after its citizens, the community, talk about security, talk about health, building good schools. So we are getting involved into everything a city government should be involved into, like it is done in the Western world, that is done all part of the other countries, in all part of the other developing countries. So we are building a new city government, a new form of city government. So when you
Uh,
have the opportunity to come to Paynesville one day, you see that we have changed some of the activity and how people look at city government. Because as a trained urban planner, I want to show how city government work in other countries.
okay. Thank you. Um, okay, so before we wrap up, let me just say there was one thing Fanta didn't have the chance to share because I had a meal here. Because you mentioned, former president giving you the opportunity or offering your first two jobs or something. Fanta, just so you know, Fanta was also offered a job, but it was just in the midst of why she's advocating for the same kind of situation that she's advocating for, that let's do things the right way. Why should these people be in a mess? We can do it as locals.
I,
So
I applaud her for that, and that's why we all should do at all time. We should advocate for the right things, and I
yeah.
support her on that,
uh,
100%.
Thank you. All right,
Like,
fantastic.
like, like I also support President Sadi in the past for advocating against everything wrong that happened in the country.
Okay. All right. Thank you. So that's all I wanted here to give each other chance. So thank you for putting your last word in Mayor Bestman. So Fanta, let's end on you. What one step the nation must take immediately to protect jobs and integrity in waste management? Then what message, and the reason I didn't ask the mayor because he already went over his experience from Philadelphia and then his call to diaspora Liberians and like home-based Liberians already. But what final message now you Fanta do you have to leave with Liberians if you didn't, I don't remember hearing that from you. So let me repeat my question. What one last step or what one step the nation must make immediately to protect jobs and integrity in waste management? And then if there was something that I didn't touch on, I didn't give you the chance on, what would be that?
Yeah. Thank you again for this time, Priscilla. Um, I'm a person who doesn't just like to, as I mentioned, right, sit on the sideline and just complain and criticize and criticize. I'm a problem solver, and first before I even go into details in terms of complaining, I've already rolled up my sleeve like to start problem solving because I truly believe that it's urgent times. We're in an emergency, right? And the fact that we continue to rely on these heavily focused, right, policy solutions. Policy doesn't solve anything. Policy informs, right? What we need is actual implementation. We need execution, right? Your policy doesn't have to be 50,000 pages. It should be digestible. It should be simple that will guide you or serve as a guardrail for your implementation and your execution. I can understand you drafting like your roadmap, your 3-year roadmap, your 5-year roadmap. It's like we spend so much more time on that than actually solving the problems in our community. We spend time and resources on that than we spend on solving the problems within our communities, right? As I mentioned, the cost of an incinerator that burns 300 tons of waste daily, it's around $10,000. The same $10,000 that will go to Royal Hotel and sit there drafting policy documents, and we spend that there in like one day time. That $10,000 could have given the Paynesville City Corporation an incinerator. They were there for 1 week and spent $50,000 at Royal with 20, 30 different people having policy discussions. That $50,000 could have solved the waste problem, right? The 1,200 tons of waste that we produce on a daily basis. That $50,000 can purchase like 5 different waste incinerators, 300 tons each, right? To solve the 1,200 metric tons that we produce on a daily basis between Monrovia and Paynesville alone. So I come with practical solutions and I come with quantitative solution because I think it's very important. The more we remove ourselves from the clouds and really get our hands dirty on solving the problems in our community, like the better we stand at actually transforming our communities into ones that actually work for the citizens and not continue to just talk about it. Look, Liberia is Africa's oldest republic. How long have we been talking about solving Liberia problems? Liberia is not in a shortage of smart people. There are a lot of smart people in Liberia, but we cannot just be good for talking and having meetings over meetings. Let's get to solutioning. And it's not that complicated, irrespective of whatever label you want to put on it, or whoever ring you want to kiss, whoever shoe like you want to shine. If you care about the Liberian people, then you will roll up your sleeve and solve their problems. And once again, this is not far-fetched to say, oh, like we don't know how to do it, so we must draft these policy solutions. It starts with just applying common sense. Let's put our PhD in like aside and apply common sense to solve Liberian problems. Because the Liberian people need solution. They don't need talking. So I would say to like to Mayor Bestman and his partners across the country, you'll get together and you'll come up with practical solutions. You'll minimize or reduce the time you're spent on drafting policies, right? If you spend 100% on drafting policy, 50% on drafting policies, you'll reduce that and allocate some of that time and resources to buying an incinerator, for example, to buying waste bins that will cost you $25 for those very large waste bins and start doing your own composting. These are practical, tactical, realistic solutions that can be employed today. Maybe the incinerator, if you order it from China, will take maybe 45 days, right, to arrive at the port of Liberia. But you can access a bin today, as of today. And this will be my challenge to the Paynesville City Corporation and the Monrovia City Corporation. This is my challenge to y'all today. We know that we produce 60% of our waste is organic waste. And we can, and that 60% can be converted into compost. What you need for composting, cut the 5 gallon, even if you start with a 5 gallon, real gallon, cut it in half and put it everywhere and start encouraging and educating the community to dispose organic waste in those bins. So we can start making fertilizers, so we can reduce 60% of our waste that no longer has to go to Windtown. This is a solution you can employ today. So I really want us to understand as a people, we have to move away from these exaggerated solutions to simple, practical solutions that can solve the problems of Liberia.
Thank you to the both of you. Thank you for your time. I really appreciate that you took the time, the both of you, to be here. So my people, this is it, audience. What you've heard today is clear. Waste is not just a sanitation issue. It's a justice issue. It's about who gets the contracts, who gets the jobs, and who holds the power to decide the future of Liberian cities. Mayor Bestman has reminded us that leadership at the city level is about service, safety, and accountability to the people. He showed up and he shared with us his heart. Fanta has shown us through her own journey the cost of corruption. I mean, I can keep repeating, but I mean, for someone to just pack up and then finally, it's like the peak of a lifetime or professional journey. You meet the president of your country, and then she offers you a job to share you up for something you're pursuing. And then you say, no, I don't want a job. This is a matter of principle. And then she says, according to Fanta, I keep trying to call Fanta Shanta. Sorry, Fanta, And then, according to Fanta, she says, Nana principle will eat. I mean, she has shown us through her own journey the cost of corruption and the courage it takes to say no when a system is broken or is not working for ordinary people. So, where do we go from here? We demand transparency in every contract. Why is Zone Lion still being shortlisted up to this morning, according to Mayor Bestman? We call for local participation in every tender, and we insist that Liberia's young people, the very ones struggling for jobs today, must not be left behind while foreign firms reap the benefits. Someone says, but they don't have the capacity. Our Fanta people say, it's not rocket science. We can learn this. We can do this. And that's the presentation she was making to the former president. Because in the end, clean streets are not enough if the process that gets us there is not clean, is dirty,
Mhm.
um, with corruption. As Liberians at home and abroad, this is our call to action. Hold leaders accountable, support our local businesses, and believe in our own capacity to solve our problems. Of course, we always need help from outside, but we should lead the way, or at least we should be included and involved heavily. This conversation does not end here, it begins here. And together we can build a Liberia where waste management is not just about trash, but about transformation. Until next time, my name is Priscilla Mah-Belloh, and this has been a New Day Conversation. Stay strong, stay hopeful, as Fanta said, and remember, there's always a new day for this kind of conversation. Thank you so much. Thank you to the both of you. I appreciate your joining us today.
Thank you.
Thank
Thank you so much, Priscilla, for having me.
you. Have a great day. Thank you.
So, bye.
We are Labira. Labira is our home. Labira people. Ilẹ̀ ìrètè àríwá. Labira o. Ilẹ̀ ìrètè àríwá. Labira mi labira.